Will a black color balloon fly? This was a question which was asked by a small boy to a balloon seller. A balloon seller was selling his balloons, and whenever his sales goes down, he used to let out some free balloons to fly. So when seeing these colorful balloons fly, small children would always run to the balloon seller and they will always get the balloons. And there was a small boy who was looking at this and he saw a yellow color balloon, he saw a red color balloon, he saw different colors of balloons, but he couldn't find a black color balloon. So his doubt was whether a black colored balloon fly. So he went to the balloon seller and asked whether a black color balloon fly. The balloon seller's answer was a very simple answer, but it made me think a lot, and we have to learn a lot of lesson from this particular answer. The balloon seller told it is not the color of the balloon which makes the balloon fly, but it is what is inside the balloon that makes the balloon fly. Normally, they fill the balloon with a lighter gas like helium that makes the balloon fly. So, in the same way, we also have some inner space, and what we fill this inner space with matters a lot. And what we fill this inner space is going to take us to greater heights. Dear friends, this is going to be a great session, especially for cops who are involved in very serious business. We're going to talk about how to manage stress for the cops. And again, it has got to do with a lot of inner things. As cops, you guys have been trained in a very hard way, and most of the training involves physical, and you guys are really superb in handling a lot of physical stress. But here we are going to talk about the mental stress and why we have to talk about stress management. In fact, before so many years, our generations, when you take the history, when you see our parents and grandparents, like 2 3 generations back, we don't have much of stress problem, or we don't have much of stress management problem. But today we are talking great about stress and managing stress. Now, what is the reason? I found few reasons. The first reason is the media. We come across a lot of unwanted stuff which we really don't need, filling our space and creating a lot of stress. And the second important thing is a lot of change in our food cycle, a lot of change in the way which we have our food, a lot of change in the types of food we have. We are not having healthy food, we are just eating junk. And the third important reason is our work experience or our day to day experience. We come across a lot of experience on a day to day basis. Now, all these experiences causes stress. We can view stress management in 2 points. The first angle of view is we have stress and how to manage stress. And the second angle of view is how to avoid stress. Let us see a simple demo. If you take a small string, and when you try to pull this particular string, and this string is going to break at a particular point of time. Now, when you pull the string, there is stress. In the same way, when we are stretched in some way, there is something which is called a stress which is induced in our body. Now, as human beings, we all come across this stress, and today we are going to learn how to manage this particular stress. In order to learn how to manage stress, we need to learn how our human brain works. Our human brain, basically, physically, if you take, it has got a lot of parts like medulla oblongata or the cerebellum, like that. You have so many physical parts. But if you take the software side of the brain, then it has got basically 2 parts. The major portion of the brain is called the um, subconscious brain, and the minor portion of the brain is called as the conscious brain. Approximately 70% of the brain is called as the subconscious brain, and 30% of the brain is called the conscious brain. And most of our regular experiences, our feelings, our day-to-day things are actually taken to the conscious mind or the conscious brain, which is minor. And subconscious brain actually takes care of storing long-term information. And the subconscious brain is so very powerful. Now, when we talk about the subconscious brain, I want to just give a small illustration to understand the power of the human brain. For example, we will not remember the color of the dress we normally wore maybe a couple of days back or a couple of weeks back. We'll not be able to remember such things. Maybe some people are, super duper in memory powers, those guys will be able to remember. But most of the people, we don't pay attention. We don't remember actually what happens in 2-3 weeks back, the type of dress we normally wear. But if I ask these questions to my audience, like what is the oldest information you remember? Some people say, I remember something happened to me when I was 1 year old. Some people say, I remember something which happened to me when I was 2 years old. Now, most of these stories, when people say, they say, I remember my teacher slapped me, my dad hit me, or I fell down, or somebody say, I remember visiting the hospital when my sister was born, and the age between me and my sister is 1 year. So this guy has gone to the hospital when he was 1 year old, and he's able to remember things when he was 1 year old. My question is, if the human brain can remember things which happened some 20 years back, 30 years back, but the human brain is not, the same human brain is not able to remember things happened maybe 2 days back, or three days back, or a couple of weeks back. So we have to understand what kinds of information go from the conscious brain to subconscious brain, and what is the importance of the information which is stored in the subconscious brain. Now, people say the subconscious brain is what we are, and subconscious brain is so very powerful. Whatever is stored in the subconscious brain is capable of achieving or capable of attracting those things. That is how the suicide bombers are trained. For the suicide bombers, they have a regular classes from morning to evening. Like, they have to listen to a lot of lectures, lot of things which they motivate them. 8 hours, 10 hours, they have to keep on listening. So a kind of vengeance is implanted into their mind so that they don't even bother about giving their life. So subconscious mind is very, very powerful. And the subconscious mind is the reason for stress. The subconscious mind is the reason for success. Subconscious mind is the reason for failure. Subconscious mind is the reason for somebody becoming a criminal, or subconscious mind is the reason for somebody becoming a musician, somebody becoming a magician, somebody becoming a scientist, and somebody becoming phenomenally successful. Now, how does this subconscious mind is responsible for somebody's success? Now, there are some kind of informations which has got a chance to go from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind. For example, our people told a lot of information which happened to them maybe 20 years back, 30 years back. Now, how does this information enter the subconscious mind? Only three kinds of information enter into the subconscious mind. Number one, informations which are having an impact. I told you already, people who are able to remember those informations before 20 years, they are able to remember this information like it was impactful. Somebody fell down, they remember it. Somebody, the teacher slapped, they are able to remember it. So the same way, some impactful information, if we listen, it has got a lot of chance for going from the subconscious mind to the from conscious mind to the subconscious mind. In the same way, some informations which are impactful or some information are interesting. If I have some interest for music, if I listen to some information related to music, then that has got a lot of chances to go into my subconscious mind. And there is a third category of information which has got a lot of chance to go into the subconscious mind, is called the repetitive information. If suppose I'm able to repeat an information, if I get that information on a repeated basis, definitely it has got a lot of chance to go into my subconscious mind. Now, when some information gets into my subconscious mind, then it gets registered there strongly, very strongly, so that I'll not be able to forget it for years to come. Then whatever I store in my subconscious mind, definitely I will put a lot of efforts to achieve whatever I store in my subconscious mind. So I have to be very, very careful about the informations I take to my subconscious mind. Now, what happens in today's world? We are having a lot of gadgets like WhatsApp, or we are having a lot of gadgets like Facebook, and people have access to television serials, and people have access to cinemas, and most of the information we receive from all these devices, all these media, is actually negative. And when we listen to all these negative information on a repeated basis, what happens? All this negative information go into our mind on a repeated basis, and all this negative information gets into our subconscious mind and stays there very strongly. We will not be able to forget all those information. Now, at this particular juncture, my question is, now our subconscious mind is filled with negative things. Now, most of our surrounding information, most of our surrounding media, when I open my WhatsApp, I see something, somebody, has met with an accident, some broken vehicles, somebody is dead, somebody has stolen something, somebody has taken something, and all this negative information go into a subconscious mind. So my subconscious mind becomes negative. So when my subconscious mind is negative, then I'm not going towards success, but I'm going towards the other side. Now, how to use the same technique to become successful? Now, it is very, very simple. Instead of filling my subconscious mind with negative things like WhatsApp or Facebook, or the repeated information I get from all the other angles, I have to either stop all this information, or I have to minimize all this information, then start filling my subconscious mind with positive information. There are very, very, very good books like You Can Win by Shiv Kira. A lot of positive mental attitude books. I recently read a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Now, there are a lot of such beautiful books. When we start reading those books on a daily basis, then those information goes into our subconscious mind, and definitely it fills our subconscious mind with a lot of positive thoughts. And then we start feeling good, and we don't feel that particular thing called stress. And stress will never enter a positive mind. And even though we are facing a stressful situation, when we have a positive mind, when our subconscious mind is filled with positive thoughts, then we'll be able to manage, or we'll be able to overcome whatever stressful situations we face. I recently read about a story of four wives. There was a very rich person who had four wives. His fourth wife was, he loved his fourth wife, and he gave the best of the best things to his fourth wife, and he took care of his fourth wife very nicely. And he also loved his third wife. His third wife was very beautiful, so whenever he wanted to go out, he always took his third wife. And he also had a fear that whether somebody will take his third wife. His third wife was so very beautiful, he always adored her. And he also loved his second wife, and his second wife was very brainy. And whenever he had some challenge, or whenever he faced some difficult time, then he used to go to his second wife, asking for some suggestions. Then his second wife will definitely give him some solution, and with those things he'll be able to solve the problems which he faced. And he had a first wife whom he didn't took proper care. And a time came when he was in his deathbed, And he asked his fourth wife, because he was worried that after death he'll be all alone, because he had four wives. After death he was worried what will happen. So he went and he spoke to his fourth wife. He asked his fourth wife whether she'll be able to accompany her after his death. And his fourth wife told, no, she cannot accompany him. And he was really upset. And then he went to his third wife and he asked, will you be able to accompany me after my death? The third wife also told, it is not possible for me to accompany you. After your death, I am going to marry somebody else. And really the answer shocked him. And then he went to his second wife and he asked her, will you accompany me after my death? His second wife also told the same answer, I'm not going to accompany you. His heart was really broken. At that time, somebody told, I am ready to come with you. That was his first wife. His first wife was looking skinny. He did not even taken proper care of his first wife. So his first wife was very, very thin. And then he asked, are you really telling you would like to follow me after my death? The first wife told, yes, I want to come wherever you want to go. Friends, we need to understand something great from this particular illustration. This story talks about the fourth wife. The fourth wife is what is called as our materialistic, and the fourth wife is what we call our body. We take very good care of our body. We go to beauty parlor. We take a lot of courses for the makeup. We go for the gym. We take very good care of our body. But 100% our body is not going to come after the death. And the third wife is the materialistic thing, our car, our money, our this and that, whatever we save in this world is also not going to come when we die. And it is going to go to somebody else. And the second wife is also not going to come. And the second wife is the friends and the family. Though we spend a lot of time with our friends and family, the friends and family are also not going to come, because most of our life we work very hard for the family. We also spend a lot of time for our friends, but our family and friends are also not going to come after our death. The first wife is called the soul. So only the soul is going to come along with us when we die. So we don't take proper care of our soul, then there is going to be a different problem. There is a lot of stress today in the society. There is a lot of stress because people don't pay attention to the soul. People don't pay attention to the innermost thing called the soul. And because of this soul, because the soul is hungry, there is a lot of stress. There is an empty space which is felt for everything. People have a lot of things. People have so much of wealth, but still they are stressed. People are stressed. Now, what is the reason? They don't know how to take proper care of the soul. Like how food is for the body, for the soul, prayer, meditation, yoga, and quiet time. All these things are going to be the food for the soul. So we have to spend a lot of time on prayer. We have to spend a lot of time on meditation. We have to spend a lot of time on yoga. We have to spend a lot of time on religious things, reading books. So when such inputs are given, our soul becomes stronger. When the inner being is fed well, and when the inner being becomes strong, then automatically what happens is we start feeling stronger, and what happens, we will be very strong and we'll be able to overcome whatever stress or whatever situations we are faced. And here is a small illustration I want to share from a book which I read. There is a person called Julian, and Julian was a very successful lawyer, an advocate. He was a very successful lawyer that he never failed in any cases. And most of his clients were very rich people, and he's a very brainy fellow. Whatever case he works, he becomes successful. He has never lost a case. He got everything in his life. He had a wonderful mansion. He had a private jet. Of course, he had a beautiful Ferrari, most expensive car in the world. When this guy was working, he was not satisfied because he was filling himself with materialistic things. He filled himself with whatever comforts which were there in the world. He had everything. He was not satisfied. He started working even more harder, and he started working like 18 hours a day, and he slept for only few hours. One day when he was carrying a case in the court, suddenly he started paining. Suddenly he started feeling pain in his heart, and he was taken to the nearby hospital. And at the nearby hospital, they have identified, they have diagnosed like he had a heart attack. And after that, treatment was given to Julian, and then the doctors advised him, you cannot tax your body, you cannot overwork your body, so you have to give time to your body. So you cannot do your regular work, you have to resign from whatever you're doing, and then you have to relax. Julian was very much upset. He cannot give up his career, so he had to decide, and he had to think about what he has to do. Then finally Julian came to a conclusion. He wanted to give up everything. He sold his mansion, he sold his properties, he sold whatever he had. He sold his private jet. Of course, he also sold his Ferrari. After selling everything, he took whatever possession he had, and then he brought everything along with him. And then um, he came there from his place, and he started going towards a place called Himalayas, which is there in India. And in Himalayas, he wanted to find out the most happiest people, and they told the most happiest people are the monks who live in a village called Shivana. Then somehow he goes to different places in Himalaya, and finally, with a lot of efforts, he is able to find one particular monk who belonged to that particular place. He goes and meet that monk, and he explains about what has happened to him. And then he talks to this monk, and he says, I definitely need your help. I want to learn the secrets of your happiness. Then this monk took Julian to the village, and Julian is staying in this beautiful village. The village was so very beautiful that the village was filled with a lot of flowers, and there was a garden, and the people were so very kind, and Julian could see happiness in everybody's face, and people were relaxed, and they had a wonderful time in the village. And Julian happened to meet the chief of this particular village, and Julian asked the chief to teach him the secret of the happiness. And the chief told, we will have to observe you for some time, and then only we will be able to teach you the secrets of the happiness. And Julian lived there for few days, and after seeing the commitment of Julian, then the chief decided to teach him the secrets of the happiness of the tribe of Shivan. And one day the chief called Julian, and the chief told, now I am going to tell the secrets of Shivana, the secret of happiness. And very patiently, Julian was listening to whatever the chief was telling. And the chief told, you have to listen to a story, and the story contains the secret to the happiness. And Julian slowly started narrating a story. In that story, there was a girl who was sitting, and there was a beautiful garden filled with flowers, and the garden had a gate, and the garden was filled with wonderful flowers like roses, different kinds of roses. And when this particular girl who was sitting there saw a very big lighthouse inside the garden. What does a lighthouse got to do inside the garden? And then a very big sumo wrestler came out from the lighthouse. And the sumo wrestler was wearing a dress, and the dress was tied using a very, very thin wire. And then the sumo wrestler sees a golden stopwatch. And the sumo wrestler goes and picks up the golden stopwatch. As the sumo wrestler picks up the golden stopwatch, he falls down and he becomes unconscious. After some time, due to the fragrance smell of the roses, he is able to get up, and then he finds a road, and on the both sides of the road there were small diamonds, and he starts walking, taking that particular path of happiness. It's called the path of happiness. Then after some time the sumo wrestler disappears. This story was told to Julian, and Julian, after listening to the story, was surprised. How I'm going to learn a lot of lessons from this particular story. What I'm going to learn, this story looks like a joke to me. But the chief of the tribe told, this particular story has got 7 secrets to happiness, where you can forget about your stress and you can live a very happy life. Julian was very curious to listen to the 7 points of happiness. Then the chief told, the first point is, there is a beautiful garden, and this beautiful garden represents our brain. Like how you take care of the garden, you cannot simply leave the garden and automatically flowers and automatically grass grows out of this garden. It cannot happen. Now what you have to do when you want to have a beautiful garden, first you have to put a beautiful fence for the garden and a gate for the garden and lock it. Otherwise, all animals and other things will enter inside and it will eat and everything will spoil the garden. First, you have to guard the garden. The second thing, you have to plant, you have to take all the weeds out. Then you have to plant all beautiful trees, all beautiful plants which will give flowers like roses and other things. So you have to plant. Not only planting is enough, then you have to take proper care of the plants. So we have to take the same effort in our brain also. We have to take the same effort in our mind also. We have to have a guard for our brain. Why we have to have a guard for our brain? Now, as I've told you already, this entire world is filled with a lot of negative thoughts. Everywhere you go, there is negative thought. A small child listens so many times of no. Don't do this, don't do that, don't go here, don't go there, you'll fall down, you'll trip down. So when a child, when is at the age of 12, before the age of 12, he hears so many no's, so many don't do's. How he is going to do things when he listens so many don't do? His so many don't do is fed into his mind. Now, as parents, we have to encourage our children to do a lot of things. Instead of that, we are telling don't do, don't do, don't do. So when we have to have a guard for our brain and we have to stop the negative thoughts at the brain and we have to have a strict guard at the entrance of the brain telling whenever we have whenever some negative, when you open some Facebook or something, when you see a negative post, immediately close it. So TV, most of the serials are negative. One fellow following 2 girls, one girl following 2 boys, husband following 2 ladies. When you see all these things, you fill yourself with simply negative thing. Take the newspaper is entirely full of negative. Somebody has lost something, some robbery is there, and especially as cops, your job is daily you come across entire negative things. Your entire experience is negative. So when all these things are going into the mind, you have to stop the information from going into the subconscious mind. So you have to have a guard. And the second thing is you have to plant a lot of good things. How to plant a lot of good things into the mind? How to plant a lot of good things into the mind? When the mind is filled with a lot of negative things, by reading books, by meditation, by prayer, by doing a lot of good things, a lot of good things will enter into the subconscious mind. When a lot of good things enter into the subconscious mind, and all the bad things, all the negative things will go out. So we have to focus on filling our mind with a lot of positive things and stopping all the negative things. Not only that is sufficient, that we have to maintain the garden on a regular basis. We have to give very special care to the information we receive from friends, the information we receive from our relatives, and how this information goes into the subconscious mind. The third important thing is we have to sow seeds of happiness, sow seeds of joy, so that these becomes fruits, these becomes beautiful flower in the garden. So these are the activities we are going to do, take care of our mind. So the first principle is take care of your mind. That is the garden. If you don't take care of the mind properly, then what will happen? All weeds and unwanted thing will go. They say empty mind is the devil's workshop. So we have to very carefully take beautiful care of our mind. The second thing is our lighthouse. This lighthouse refers to the goals which we have in our life. Without goals, we don't grow. So we have to have a lot of goals in our life. Now, a lot of people will have a lot of passion, a lot of people want a lot of things. So we need to set proper goals. Like how this lighthouse is an indication for the ships to come. The same way, our goals in our life decide where we are going to head. And if we don't have goals, we are not heading anywhere. Instead of that, we are going backwards. So setting proper goals is very important, and these goals has to be there in the places where we see on a regular basis. For example, we have to stick these goals on the places which we get up and we see daily. And these goals can also have some picture like things. For example, somebody wants to get a car. So what we can do is, instead of writing a car, we can cut the advertisement of this car, and then we can put the car on the wall where we daily get up and see. Definitely what happens is we start putting a lot of efforts to buy this particular car. So we have to have a lot of goals in different aspects and different things. We have to have a lot of goals. So that is what this lighthouse represents. And the third important thing is a sumo wrestler who is coming out of the lighthouse. The sumo wrestler refers to Kaizen. Kaizen means continuous learning. So we will be happy only if we continuously learn something. Now what has happened is, after we finish our college, after we come out of our school, or after we come out of our graduation, we throw all our books, and after that we have never read a book, we have never started reading. Learning is a endless process, and we have to learn a lot. They say an average CEO reads 60 books a year. In a year he reads 60 books. So we also have to learn a lot. We have to start updating ourselves. When we talk about this learning, I remember a story which I read. There were two woodcutters, and the first woodcutter will always cut more wood when compared to the second woodcutter. And the second woodcutter was always surprised how this first guy is cutting a lot of wood more than me. And one day he asked him how it is possible for you to cut more woods. And this guy told, I cut more woods because we cut for the same time and we take rest for the same time. But when you cut, I also cut. But when you are resting, I'm resting, but I'm sharpening my saw. So in the same way, we also should start thinking about sharpening our axe. Only if we sharpen our axe, we'll be able to cut more wood. So when we want to be more productive in our life, we want to be more happy, we want to live a joyful life, then we should start learning new things. We should start studying new things. We should start exploring new things. So only these things will keep us happier. If you take a pond of water which is stagnant, which is not at all taken, then the water becomes useless. People will not be able to make much use of that particular water. But the same pond, you start taking a lot of water outside, the water becomes fresh and people will be able to enjoy the water of the pond. In the same way, we we have to actually start experimenting with a lot of learning on a day-to-day basis. We should learn at least one new thing every day, one which is useful, instead of seeing all these stupid serials or the Facebook and WhatsApp things which are not at all necessary and creating a lot of havoc and a lot of stress in our life. We have to take care of our garden. So continuous learning is very, very important. We have to learn a lot. The third important thing is the sumo wrestler is wearing a dress with a small wire. Even though it is a small wire, it is holding the dress tightly. If something happens to the small wire, then the entire thing is gone. So this small wire represents self-control and discipline. Though we have very big goals in our life and we are taking good care of our garden, and if we don't have self-control and we're not disciplined, then definitely everything is going to be in a soup. So this is like how this is tying the dress, the same way it will tie our life. So if we want to live a happy life, definitely we have to have a lot of self-control. As cops, I don't have to talk more on this particular topic because you guys have very good discipline and you take care of the discipline of the state, and you guys are good in self-control. And I don't have to talk about getting up early or making your bed and other things because you guys are superb in all those things. Let me quickly move to the next point. Then the sumo wrestler sees a watch, a golden watch. This golden watch represents time. Time is 24 hours for everybody. And some people with the same 24 hours become presidents and vice presidents and CEOs of companies. And same people with 24 hours they use 24 hours of this particular time and they become criminals. It is how we use this 24 hours of time is going to decide whether we are going to be happy or we are going to be stressful. Now, how we are going to use this 24 hours? Most of the time we dedicate for our work. And as cops, I don't know, you will be like anytime you will have to be available on call. So you guys are always, busy working. Now you have to take some quality time for your friends, some quality time for your happiness, some quality time you have to take out to de-stress yourself. You have to take some of your time to enjoy life, and some of the time you have to take off, and then you have to start feeling happy. Maybe you can spend time with your small kid, or you can spend time with your family, which will give a lot of happiness, joy, and peace. So time is going to matter a lot. Watching television for 3 hours is not going to help us anyway. It is going to add more to the fuel. It is going to add more stress to the stress we had. That is not the solution. But when we spend a lot of time in games and when we spend a lot of time in friends with family, maybe doing something which we like. Here I want to talk about few experiences I had in the last couple of months. We seven of us joined together and we went for a 3 day long trek. We walked inside the woods and we took off from whatever we were doing, and it gave us a lot of joy. And the 3 day trek almost made me a new man, and I felt so much of relaxation and happiness. Now that is going to carry me for another 1 year. I'm going to do all my work, thinking and feeling the happiness and joy I had during my 3 day trek. And we took our students for a adventure camp, and there also we had a nice time. The students also enjoyed. We stayed inside the forest, inside the tents and other things for a day where we had a nice time. And along with my friend, we went for a bushcraft experience where we one day, the whole day we were there inside the forest without anything, and we tried to experience some of the survival techniques. Now, such experiences, for me, such experiences matters a lot. And I also love music. I have some hobby, and I spend a lot of time on music. Every day morning, I get up and I spend quality half an hour time playing my violin. So when I play violin for half an hour of time, and I derive the entire energy for the day, and I'll be able to rock, and I'll be able to take up any task, any difficult or any stressful task I want to do, and definitely I'll be able to crack it. I don't feel stressful because every day morning I start with what I love, and that is carrying me along for the entire day. And even though when you face a lot of stress on a particular point of time, see, the human brain can think at a time it can have only one particular thought. I close my eye and I start thinking about my experiences I have, my beautiful experiences I have, God given experiences I have, like the trekking expedition. I close my eye and I start meditating on that. And slowly I, change my mood, and I totally come out of this stressful situation and I start feeling happy, joyful, and peaceful. And surround yourself with people who are funny, people who are happy, people who don't stress you. Please keep yourself away from people who are negative. People put more stress on you. Instead, try to have a positive company. Try to have people of similar mind who actually, uh, their company lightens your mind. So spend quality time in detoxing and de-stressing yourself. And I love cooking. I love um, outdoor cooking. So what I do is I take time and I start spending a lot of time on outdoor cooking, and I help in the kitchen. All those things give me pleasure and takes me totally away from all these stressful things which I face due to my experience and face due to my job in my day-to-day basis. And the next thing which is there in the story where Julian sees um, is the sumo wrestler who is falling down, and he's getting up because of the rose. Here the roses gives a lot of smell and gives us a lot of happiness, not expecting anything from us. In the same way, the roses represents the selfless help which we can do for somebody, whatever help we can do for somebody without expecting anything. It's a beautiful topic which I want to spend a little more time on this. Helping somebody, we are all here for a particular purpose, and definitely God is giving us a lot of opportunity to help our friends, help people around us, and we get a lot of opportunity to help. Only thing is we have to find those opportunity and we start helping others without expecting anything. Only those kind of things make us even more happier. The greatest happiness, they say, it is found in helping others. Now, if we could see the people who have become phenomenally successful, like Bill Gates or any rich people who is successful, they are spending a lot of money on a lot of charity work, because now after a particular point of time you get a lot of car, you get a lot of houses, and you have everything in the world. Then after that, what? For that, people find a lot of pleasure in helping. So we have to do some kind of, definitely we have to do some kind of help. Let us say 10% from salary we take, and with that we have to definitely help somebody who is having some problem or who is in some kind of need. We always have some opportunity to help. No, I'm not here to boast. I just want to share a small experience. There is a small lady, a very poor lady who used to work with us, and now she is retired, and her house does not have a electrical connection. And she was trying her level best to get a electrical connection from the electricity board, but because our house is in a patta land, it's not properly recognized. The electricity board refused to give her connection. And her house is a single room house where the same room is kitchen, same room is bedroom, and she doesn't have light. So what we did, we tried to manage a solar panel and a battery and a light, and we tried to put a light, and now she is happy. Now this particular thing did not cost us much, but the experience I gained from this is phenomenal, and the joy we gain from this experience is phenomenal. And the way she thanked her with tears, and uh, the way in which she told her thanks was really worth it of the work which we did for this particular lady. So there is always a lot of opportunity for helping, and we are definitely here for only that particular purpose, for help the other people who really deserve it. And we get wonderful happiness. All our stress will get vanished if we start helping others, and we start deriving pleasure from helping others. And then the sumo wrestler, he starts walking towards the path which is laid with diamonds on all the both the sides. So this path talks about enjoying our day-to-day life. Even though we are going towards a path, we have our destination, we have a big goal to reach, then we tend to forget to enjoy the smallest happiness we find on our way. But real happiness is finding joy in the small things which we come across on a day-to-day basis. So we will be having a lot of wonderful experiences on our way, lot of things to laugh at, lot of things to enjoy on our way. So we have to pick up these small diamonds on our way, and we have to start enjoying as we are heading towards a greater goal in our life. So this is what the Julian learned, the 7 points. The first is our garden, and we have to take care of our garden, and we have to have a guard for the garden, and we should not allow the negative thoughts to get inside. Then we have the lighthouse, which is the goals we set in our life. And the third one is the sumo wrestler who is coming out. The sumo wrestler is the kaizen, where we have to learn on a day-to-day basis, because the sumo wrestler spends a lot of time, energy, and food to keep his body intact. So we also should learn a lot of subjects. We have to learn something new, so that we'll be keeping our mind busy, and we'll be learning a lot. These lessons will keep us, these new experiences will keep us happy and healthy. And fourth one is all about the small stopwatch. Sorry, the fourth one is the small wire which is used as to tie the dress of the sumo wrestler. So this talks about self-control and discipline. And the the fifth point is the stopwatch, which talks about the effective utilization of the time, where we spend our time, how to spend our time in effectively re-energizing or revitalizing or regenerating our body and mind, so that we become fresh and we start doing our work. And the um, uh, sixth one is the rose and the flowers which are there in the garden. And this talks about how we can derive a lot of pleasure, a lot of happiness by helping others. And the last one is the road with diamonds, and this talks about enjoying each and every moment of life, because this moment, if we lose, we are not going to get it back in our life. So it is our bounden duty to be happy, and we have to enjoy our life on a day-to-day basis. And after listening this story, then Julian took the story, and then he went to the entire world, and he started talking about the story, and he also changed a lot of people's life. So friends, we also have a lot of reasons to be stressed and a lot of reasons to be happy. So we have to choose whether we have to be happy, or whether we have to be stressful, and it is in our hands. And I'm going to talk about how our food habits also play a vital role in making us